And when you rightly point out that traditionally the budget reply hasn't been the great, marketing platform.
It is. No one watches.
No one watches. But I think in this year, ahead of an election being called possibly Friday, the day after, this takes on a lot more importance for so many different reasons, as you say, for his own side, but also himself to say, I can make this case and reassure the Australian people I'm up to it.
I think it's an all or nothing play for Peter Dutton. He's got to roll the dice. Someone was saying to me this morning that he might even be concerned about what's happening in his own seat, but in the end, that doesn't really matter. I mean, he might as well roll the dice, go for broke, and if he loses his seat in an election campaign, then he's a young man. He can go off and do other things because his leadership would be up for grabs after he loses an election anyway. So I think that this is a moment to do something bold. I fear they haven't done the work. And I think that showed in Angus Taylor on the weekend. I think that there hasn't been enough work done by the coalition to position themselves to be able to take it in one term, and it was always going to be a very big ask. And for that, they can thank Scott Morrison, who left them in a terrible position at the end of the last term.
Yeah, and the backdrop for all of this, just finally, they talk about global uncertainty, but in large part, we're talking about Donald Trump, aren't we?
We are, but how do you feel at the moment? So you can feel this yourself, and I'm sure the rest of the electorate's feeling it. I always think now that it's very hard to communicate to the Australian people because they're across so many platforms. They are distracted by things. They are not focusing on what's going on here mostly. They'll get bits and pieces of it. But Donald Trump has unsettled the world. And then you've got what's going on in Ukraine and what's going on in the Middle East at the moment. We've seen that leaking into our own society. So people are feeling uncomfortable. And I really don't think that it's a good look for the coalition to be saying we'll be able to deal better with Donald Trump than the government, because in Australia, Donald Trump is not a great selling point. He is making people very, very nervous. So you'd want to be careful about your messaging. And I'm sure the government will be trying to put Peter Dutton as close to Donald Trump as they possibly can in the election campaign.
Chris Uhlmann, great to see you, get your insights as always. Thank you.
Thanks, mate.